Hello and welcome to the RattleMind podcast. I'm Rye, and join me is my co-host.
Patchy,
There we go.
as usual.
Yep, and like always, we are going to talk about whatever's rattling around in our mind. That's really weird catch thingy phrase, whatever. That's our whole shtick. It's
Well,
it's like I am eventually going to get that down to where I can stay it in like no time. But like I said, third episode. Okay, what we're going to talk about is like a weird thought thing, and basically, our I am tongue tied.
we're gonna talk about a fun hypothetical.
There we
Of
go. Thank you. This is why you have to have
course.
a co-host, because when
hmm
you cannot think, it helps to have someone else who can do it for you.
We come in handy.
All right, but our hypothetical is: what would you do if you had, like, let's say, $200 million or $500 million?
You're rich as hell and
Yeah,
had no idea what to do with all that money. What would you
exactly.
eventually think to do with all that money?
All right, I will. Let's see. Who wants to start? Do you want to go first, or should I?
I don't mind. My first thought whenever I think about having a ton of money, I, there, my main concern would be running out because the richest people, like the richest athletes and superstars and all that, like you hear all the time about how like they just run out of money
Right.
and they they got to sell their mansions and stuff like that. And it's like there has to be a smart way to invest and hopefully a little more stable way than stocks, Like
Yeah, and
I'm not very like knowledgeable with all of the options that are out
all
there,
right.
but
Well,
like I know there are things like bonds and stuff like that.
I can actually tell you what you do.
Okay.
What? Well, actually, I'm not sure if this is 100% this is what you should do, but if I had like won the lottery and had a ton of money, you know, my first thought would I want my family to be secure. So what I would
Right.
do is I would set up small trust funds for each family member. So I have a ton of nieces and nephews. I would set aside a certain amount of money, like uh like $2 million per child, and
Look at us being so responsible with our
exactly.
riches.
This is what happens when you pass the age
We're
of like
so
30.
boring.
Exactly. You hit the age of 30 and you just start, okay, this is what I have to do. I need to put
I've
this
been
money
through too much
aside.
crap
And
to let this go by like too
yeah,
fast.
it's like if this ever becomes successful, I've already mentioned that I want to turn it into a, uh, God, brain has forgotten. Well, I'd actually like to turn it into a business and, limited liability thing. And that way,
Yeah.
my computer gets to stay as my computer and the company doesn't own it. So things like that, just to make things easier
Right.
on us. Um, but along with that, like I said, I would set up trust funds for each child so that, they could be technically well off. But with a trust fund, you can actually put restrictions on how they can get the money. So like my niece, one of them wants to be a streamer or something like that. I'm a bad example for them.
Oh,
Um, but basically, what I would do is, in order for her to have access to this type of money, she would have to either get a certificate in any type of thing like business management or something like that. It doesn't have to be a full educational thing. You don't have to get a degree because I mean, I might have a degree. I don't expect anyone else to get a degree because college is, in my opinion, most of the time a waste of the time unless you're trying to be a doctor or a engineer,
right.
you know, because most of the time what
That's a whole episode on its own,
exactly.
how messed up the higher education system is. I've been to college twice a year each time, different colleges. I did my best. I it wasn't for me. I don't have a degree in anything, but like you don't have to live a happy, healthy life, and some people even are extremely successful without. So, you know,
I mean,
that's again a stream on its own, though.
yeah. I mean, I have my college degree, and all it is a piece of paper sitting somewhere in an envelope right now. So
A $40,000 piece of paper, basically.
pretty much, and it was on the cheap end because I went to a community college, which I recommend highly. So when we get to our education episode, that's what we'll talk about. But yeah,
Right, right.
but like I said, if you're gonna have a ton of money, set up stipulations so that your children or nieces and nephews or brothers and sisters can't go crazy with the money because you do
That
not.
is concern number two, because if you are successful in hanging on to all that money and growing it and passing it on, like you hear also all the time about people who inherit it and then waste it all. So it's
Right.
like,
And that's where a trust fund
I
comes in, is that you
mean, at
can.
least you're dead. It's not your problem anymore, but like,
Yeah,
it's still a little concerning.
a lot of people who a lot of people lately, like Bill Gates. I don't like Bill Gates. I think he's a dumb butt anymore. But he's not giving his children any money inheritance, which is stupid. You know, they're used to a lifestyle. They should be able to have a small modicum of that money when he passes. But but they and are successful in their own right, and so it doesn't really affect them. But yeah, trust funds are just a basic way to secure yourself and other people. I do not recommend taking my financial advice. I forgot to point that out. I am not a financial advisor. I do not have a degree, any
Me
education
either.
in it. So this is, like I said, when we started it, it's all hypotheticals.
Right, right. We should be talking about all the cars and houses and
Right,
beach houses that we're gonna buy,
exactly.
honestly.
So let's get away from all that and let's start talking about that. What crazy stuff would you do, or what practical stuff would you do with the money?
Right. Without concern for growing the money, I would probably pay off the house I have now.
Yeah,
And so bills, yeah. I'm still boring. I'm still boring. I can't not think of a non-boring answer. No, I can't. You know what I mean.
right. Well,
I'm so boring. I'm gonna pay off all my bills. I guess like when I actually splurge on myself, it would be a really good either hybrid or electric car. That would probably be my first big purchase.
my big purchase would be a giant piece of land. That's my big
Ooh.
purchase. I would buy myself a giant piece of land, have a house built on it, or build it myself. I just want a large piece of land where I could probably just go into a forested part of my land, cut down some trees, and see if I can build a shelter.
You
I'm
know,
weird. I like
that would be
bushcraft.
fun.
Yeah, I like bushcraft. I follow bushcraft channels on YouTube. I mean, you guys got a peek of what my YouTube looks like. Um, oh,
Sneak peek, go watch our other episodes.
okay, yeah, good. I just had a thought. I got to be
Stay
careful. I did that. My last name didn't get highlighted in the last episode. So okay,
Ooh.
so we're safe there. Um,
Okay, good.
because I didn't actually go to my specific channel. Um,
Okay. Okay. But yeah, it would be neat to see if you could live on the land
yeah,
and
because I am
yeah,
one of our future topics is things you'd like to learn how to do, and that's part of
right.
what my things I want to learn how to do is. But what I would do after I have my land and my house and everything settled, you have my car, because I'd probably buy an off-road Jeep or something like that.
Yeah.
Um, one of the major things I would do, because of the area I live in, it's very rural. There's mostly farms and everything. I would also buy a piece of land and open a activity center. So basically,
Mm.
because there's really no entertainment around this area. I mean, the closest thing we have is a single theater movie theater. So there's nothing to do unless
Yeah,
I
your
want to.
state is
Yeah,
kind of
unless
bare.
I want to drive for like an hour and a half. there's nothing to do. So what I would do is I'd start, a business and stuff. I want a bowling alley, a rock climbing area, and an indoor skate park.
You can totally just like start your own town on those long stretches of roads that like don't have anything to do. Because like,
Right.
I mean, people like dead in the middle of an hour and a half drive. That's 45 minutes. People aren't going to drive 45 minutes just for like a bowling alley. But like, what you can do is start one of those like have you ever heard of like Scene 75 or Dave and Buster's or
Yeah,
stuff like that?
it's
You could
similar
do
to
one
that.
of those, and people will make the drive for those.
Well, everyone in my town would probably go to the bowling alley. If they had an option of going to a bowling alley, they would go to a bowling
They don't
alley.
need all the fancy bells and whistles.
Yeah,
They just want a bowl.
they would bowl. They'd get drunk. They'd throw the ball into the gutter, maybe throw it into the wall because drunk. They're going to throw the ball somewhere.
That's funny.
Um,
I
but
love watching bowling fails on
yeah,
YouTube.
but
They crash into the screens and stuff.
but again, one of my things I would like to learn to do someday is to learn how to rock climb. So why not, in my fantastical situation of having multiple billions of money of out the wazoo, is build a rock climbing thing. I
You know what you could do? I'm so sorry.
Go
You
ahead.
could turn this whole thing into like an adult campground, right? So like, but like kind of like kids style adult activities,
There,
because like a
yes.
kids campground will have like painting and like stuff like that. And then for the adult one, there's gonna be like a bar and rock climbing
Well,
and
kids can do
like
rock
I
climbing
mean
as
kids
well,
have that stuff
but
too, but like this is for adults, like no kids allowed. Like
yeah. Well, my entertainment area thing would allow kids because, like I said, I want a
fair enough.
because like you said, I live in a tiny town. Well, close to a tiny town. Well, technically, I do live in it, but semantics. There's nothing to do here. There is a grocery
Right.
store and a gas station, and those are the two big things to go to during the day. So I just want some entertainment. So if I could
Well, that's why
go,
we're gamers.
exactly, that's why I'm a gamer. If I could go somewhere and bowl for like an hour and a half, I would so do it just to get out of the house sometimes.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So these are the things that, small towns kind of need. They need their little entertainment sections and they don't get them.
Yeah. Yeah, true. I don't know why my brain just went to like no kids. Like
Well, it's because you live in big city now, and I've been out of big city
yeah.
for what, 7 years, 6, 7 years, somewhere around there. So I no
Wow.
longer think big city. I think, you know, what can improve my community and stuff like that so that, everyone can have fun.
That's true. The wholesome would go a long way with you. And whereas like over here, I don't mind saying that I live in Ohio and like there are stretches of road that have nothing in Ohio, but like once you get somewhere there's a lot to do.
Yeah,
So it's like I'm, you know, in an area like you said big city that like us adults could use a getaway from
exactly.
child chaos. So, yeah, I get that there is a difference.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what
That's
I would.
cool. That's a really cool way to spend your money. It really is. I've often wondered. So I'm originally from Dayton, Ohio, and it's like it's I don't keep up with it a whole lot, but it can be pretty sketchy and it can be pretty like run down.
Yeah,
And I have often like wanted to like invest in like just getting that town back on its feet, because Dayton's a big deal. Like the Wright brothers lived there. I went to my elementary school was a couple blocks away from the Wright brothers mansion. Like
awesome.
Dayton's a big deal. It was a character from West Wing was from Dayton. You know, they actually went to Dayton International Airport for one of the episodes when she went back home, and it was really cool.
Awesome.
Because like because it's really cool like in shows and movies that you love and it's like I've been there, I know that place. So like I've always kind of like wondered if I ever like could get just enough money to make a difference in a town like that, like that would be the town I invest in, would be Dayton.
Yeah.
And I had a friend die there too. He was hit by someone jacked up on a really heavy drug. I don't know if I'm allowed to say or not, but
Yeah, it's
uh, it was the H bomb.
mm,
Yeah, and he was in a high speed chase with the cops, and my friend was just trying to the driveway of an apartment complex and got T-boned and died on the scene before anyone even got there. So it's just like
yeah,
Dayton needs some work. It needs a little TLC.
yeah.
Rest in peace, Tony.
But yeah, these are the things that a lot of people who, like I said, just again, not financial advisors, don't know enough about finances to give you any advice. So don't follow anything we're saying.
Daydreaming. Where is daydreaming?
Right. But this is what a lot of wealthy people do is that they will start a lot of small businesses or something so that they always have income coming in. And then if you're a C
Yeah.
and then if you like if you're a major CEO, a lot of the ways these CEOs make a lot of money is not through salary. They usually make their money through bonuses because there is a different way that they are taxed. A
Okay.
bonus is taxed at a different percentage as salary income. So these are the things you also have to look out for. That's why you can see a CEO, I'm going to take $1 for this whole year working. But if you look at their bonus structure, they're probably getting like 10, $20 million a year.
Right. Jesus.
That's how they actually do it. And this is why I hate people who say businesses aren't taxed enough. They're not getting enough money out there. Well, it's because of these stupid legal loopholes that they can find because they have a buttload of money behind them. They can lower their tax issue by finding ways to this is how much you make, so here's your bonus structure so that you make enough money, but you're not getting into the tax bracket where your direct income is so high that you're paying out the wazoo. So yeah,
Right.
these are the things that you got to think about when you're want to be knowledgeable about a topic is just blurting out these companies are bad because they make multi-billions of dollars. Well, they're not really bad. They just have the ability to hire someone to do their taxes so that they don't have to pay billions of dollars.
I mean, my favorite saying is work smart, not hard. So,
Exactly. But yeah,
so what you should spend your money on as soon as you come into all these riches is like a business class.
yeah, you really should learn business. You should definitely have a financial advisor who actually knows stuff. The only
Yeah.
problem is you need to make sure that when you get your financial advisor, your accountant, and everything like that, you're actually looking into you know everything in this life. You should do your own research. Don't blindly follow anyone. If you hire an accountant, you want to make sure they're reputable, that they won't rip you off. They won't go like, "Hey, you spent $28.93. I'm going to just move that 93 cents and round it up to a whole dollar, and we'll just take that few pennies and put it into a separate account, under my control." Those are terrible things, and
Oh.
honestly, that is how the scheme in Office Space worked. There was a fraction of a cent. Yeah,
Oh.
this is how the scheme worked in Office Space, is that there was always this fraction of a cent left over in transactions. So what he did was he took that fraction of a cent. Of course, he did a decimal error, and they ended up taking like tons of money and putting it into a separate account.
Oh,
Um,
well.
yeah. So
It's been a while since I've seen that one, but I do remember
yeah.
a little something about that, yeah.
Um, oh yeah. If you're hearing clicking, it's because I'm holding a pen and I keep opening the cap and closing it.
Actually, I don't hear it. I guess
Well,
we'll
the
know
podcast might
post
hear it. So
recording. Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
But yeah. So You want to always do your research. That's just the same with if you're supporting a political candidate or anything like that. You want to go through and actually
Oh,
know what they're talking about and if they actually know what they're talking about. That's why if you ever go follow a podcast on politics, I don't recommend outright believing whomever it is. Just, they might be right, but if it's something I want to learn about, it's probably best that I actually look into it.
yeah, this is another full episode that we can
Right.
do, but
But
like my one thought on politics, well, on most things, but especially politics, is that no matter how hard you believe something, like some piece of information, no matter where you got it from, I don't care where you got it from. It could be the politician himself, like you had brunch with him or her, and they told you this directly. No matter where you got it from, you have to take it with a grain of salt, and you can't rely on that, like you're never gonna like really get to know them personally, and they're usually like out for self-interest, and
yeah,
like they make a lot of promises that don't get kept. So like, why are you like putting so much energy, stock, and love into these things? Not only that, but like no matter how hard you believe in something, especially in politics, I know I'm being repetitive, but I can't stress this enough. There is someone on the other side of that argument who's just as sure and just as um, educated and just as convinced in the opposite of what you believe. And both people can sound highly intelligent and highly credible, and they know, like very believable, but like you have to take every single word with a grain of salt. It's so like I hate politics so much. You just don't know.
yeah.
No matter how much you think you
And
don't.
the same goes with celebrities. You know,
Yes.
they are good at acting, they are good at singing. That is all you should actually pay attention to them for.
They're
I,
talented.
yeah, they're
Yes.
talented at what they do. And
Most.
that, most of them, yes. And that is what you should always focus on. If you like their music, like their music. If you hear that they are, politically a jerk off and they say, you shouldn't have this because I don't like, well, you know what? Just separate the personality from the music. It's like the whole Michael Jackson thing, you can't deny Michael Jackson was amazing at what he did. But
Right.
all the scandals and stuff that came out, it does rub you the wrong way, but you can't deny he was so talented that when he writes a, or when he used to write a song, and there's a whole thing because he was sued by someone because she claimed he ripped him off by using a beat. He went in court and he beatboxed his entire song and thought process there, and there was nothing the legal terms plaintiff could do to him because he's the defendant, uh, because
Yeah, it's hard to argue against them.
he laid out literally, this is how I do it. I have recordings of every time I've come up with a song. I layer each section, and yeah,
And then with just how like kind-hearted he came off as, he was probably just like, like still like so nice to the plaintiff too.
yeah,
So,
um,
like the main problem with him though was like the children discrepancy.
right, and I,
uh my stance on that has always been innocent until proven guilty.
true.
And he wasn't exactly
I think
proven guilty.
the problem is that he literally is or was a definition of Peter Pan syndrome because he didn't have
Yeah,
a
yeah,
childhood because of his father. I'm pretty sure it
yeah.
was his father. Um, when he became an adult, he was still a child mentally. Well,
Hmm.
in what he wanted to do, and that's why he made never. I wanted to say
Never lie.
Neverland Ranch.
This isn't a gaming stream.
No, no, Neverwinter got into my mind because there's all this hullabaloo about D&D for the last like what month or two about stuff. So that yet again, that's a tangent somewhere along the line. I needed to.
Right. Yeah, his defense was completely plausible, even though the things that like happened were concerning. It's just it was one of those things. Like when he passed away, I like I was working at a gas station at the time, and it came up in conversation with a customer, and he was like, I don't miss them, I have kids. And I was like, okay, I guess, like, I'm not gonna argue with him. Like,
Right.
he was very, very like aggressively set in his opinion. But at the same time, it's like we don't know for sure. We just don't. We don't. There's two sides to every story. Three if you
Right.
count the the saying. But I don't know. I'm not personally convinced he would have hurt a single soul.
Yeah. And then yeah. Okay, we got to get off of Michael Jackson now.
You're right. You're right. Although if we want to keep it on topic, that is how Michael Jackson spent his riches.
Right, very true.
He built Neverland.
Yeah. But yeah, these are the things you got to think about when you're got a lot of money, you know.
People go to space when they're super mega rich, and honestly, like I don't get like the hate for that either, because like I would totally do that. I
Yeah.
would totally do that in a heartbeat. Don't be jelly just because you're not that rich. Like, you know, um, who was it? One of the mega rich people, like Musk or someone. They were like, "Why don't you solve world hunger?" And he was like, "Tell me how, and I will. I'll spend them. I will. Like,
Yeah.
if you can figure it out, if we figure out how, I'll do it in a heartbeat. You know."
Yeah, and this is why I have issue with people who are always complaining about genetically modified foods. Well, you know, there's a lot less world hunger because of genetically modified foods.
Right. The dwarf wheat or whatever it was
Yeah, the
called.
dwarf wheat,
The most
exactly.
common example.
Yeah, because they modified that and it was able to survive in a rougher climate, and now people are eating better, more. I mean, not necessarily better anymore, but they are eating more often because of
I mean, it's better than nothing.
exactly. But yeah, if you have a lot of money, don't invest in other companies. In my opinion, build your own stuff.
Yeah.
That is what you should always do, and that's how a lot of people
Better.
maintain their wealth. Is that
Yeah.
they don't just invest in other people; they also build their own.
Right. More control that way.
Yeah. You know what? I think we've kind of petered out this topic for today. We're going to cut this one short because our last two episodes both went long. So,
Yeah. We'll cut you a break, guys.
yeah, just like 2 minutes shorter than the last two. But as always, we are on YouTube and Rumble right now. We will eventually get onto the audio only Spotify, iTunes, whatever your podcasting choice, platform of choice. We want to get there, but at the moment, you know, until we have some sort of income, there's no way to do that. But
We're broke.
yeah, we're broke.
We only fantasize about spending riches.
Exactly. That's the whole podcast. Yeah, if we have money, I will actually get this on the podcasting services. Yes, there we go.
You're right.
Uh, but yeah, thank you for listening or watching. I know, you know, it's a static image. You're not really watching much. You're just listening to this in the background. But thank you for
Thank
listening and watching.
you.
Yep. And remember to like, comment, subscribe, follow, you know, all that rigmarole. Um, anything you want to say
Catch
on our
you
way out?
later. Oh, no. Well, that was
No.
pretty much it.
Okay.
Just
Just
catch you
catch you later.
later.
All right.
Catch you next time. Adios.
And from me, until next time, later.